You're watching the number one podcast in the wrestling YouTube community, and I'm your host, Jean-Paul Erick, and this is Rope Break. I hope the Rope Break family is doing great this morning, Tuesday morning. And, we started off the week not with the Monday Night Raw review, which we have right here, but with the Elimination Chamber review. Juan and I were there. It was an awesome experience. Like we said, it was a little bullshit, the people walking up and down the aisles, getting their cardio in. Like, save that for the Planet Fitness. Don't be doing that at Elimination Chamber. And besides, obviously, the not so good, pretty much awful main event that we saw, it kind of ruined the rest of the show. But we have exclusive footage filmed by Juan, really cool videos, the finishes, entrances, all that stuff. So really fantastic review. If you haven't already, please check that out. We also have a bunch of soccer videos, FIFA gameplay, and just World League Cup coverage. And we also have the Broken Skull sessions from the Big Show. Came out a little later than we wanted, but we have that there for you on our thoughts, and probably one of the best episodes that they've done so far in that series. So check all that stuff out. But, we're kicking off the WWE week right here with the Monday Night Raw review. So let's get into it. The show started off with Becky Lynch, and I was thinking, oh no, here we go. We're going to see the, goofy sunglasses, the with the crown, the goofy, cringy Becky Lynch. But no, she came out all business. The leather jacket, leather pants, she came out as the man Becky Lynch. And I was like, okay, now it's business. Now it's game time. And this is what I wanted to see. So she comes out and she points out, pretty much how it's her and Shayna. It's confirmed. And how Shayna wiped everyone out in a matter of seconds, in the Elimination Chamber. She's like, and even Asuka, the one person who it took me, years to finally conquer, she beat her in a matter of minutes. And then, she's just putting over all of Baszler's traits. But she says her biggest trait of all is that she's a scumbag and a black hole of charisma, which I think was a shot at Vince McMahon for what he said about Shayna, how he doesn't think she has charisma and he doesn't like her, he doesn't think she's over. And it's like, oh boy, here we go again. But clearly he likes her enough that she could squash 5 other women. But then we get a video package kind of just showing everything that happened at the Elimination Chamber the night before. And we'll get some words from Shayna Baszler. She calls out Becky Lynch, says all this other stuff, how she took a bite out of her neck, going through that whole thing. And I think she calls her like a stupid bitch or something like that. But then Becky says that she might be a bitch, but she's the bitch who runs this division. So that was a pretty good line. Becky was getting some good pops in here. I feel like the crowd, the man is still over with the audience, the audience that go to these shows. But I think, her going back to like the original version of Becky Lynch of the man, it really helped her character out, because that was the right thing to do, because now it's a little bit more believable. But Lynch says that she remembers Baszler refusing to shake her hand at last year's WrestleMania, but she accepts that Shayna is the biggest threat to her title since she took it away from her, good buddy Ronda Rousey, name dropping Ronda Rousey. That was a good little detail in there. And then Becky says that normal people like her can't beat trained killers like Baszler. But she did it before, again, mentioning Ronda. And she's like, and I'll do it again. And if she thinks, she thinks that Shayna is underestimating her, and she said that she's going to smash her face in for it. So, first opening segment, was it going to be Edge? Was it going to be something with McIntyre? Was it going to be AJ and The Undertaker? Was it going to be the man? There's lots of things that they could have done for the opening segment. This was the shortest out of all of them. Becky came out there. She said exactly what she had to say. There was no cringe in this at all. She had her humor, but it wasn't bad. It wasn't like we've seen in previous weeks. The little promo from Shayna Baszler, it did what it needed to do. I think they're going with like the trained killer gimmick for Shayna Baszler, which I don't know why you couldn't just leave her the Queen of Spades, Shayna Baszler, but you had to go for the cage fighter or whatever it is. So, but besides that, it was a great opening segment, and it got that out of the way, and it got me a little more hyped for the match at WrestleMania, because like I said, we're seeing the good version of Becky Lynch. So then we get in the first match of the night, Angel Garza versus Rey Mysterio. This match was really good. I'm a big fan of both of these guys. It was a little short, I felt, and I don't know I'll go through the match, but the winner here kind of surprised me because I don't know where they're going with this. I feel like this was just a match that it was like, it'll be pretty good, but we don't really have any clear direction for the winner or the loser. So then Rey Mysterio, he immediately sends Garza flying head first into the second turnbuckle. But and when he tries to continue, Garza catches him and then connects with a big drop kick to the face. And then later on, Rey manages to send Garza out of the ring, and then he slides under the bottom rope, crash landing onto Garza. He does that thing where he slides under and kind of like, it's like chest to chest, or chest to, stomach, and he lands on him. And then he sends him back in the ring. Mysterio connects with a seated senton and then a big enziguri. But Garza manages to power out of the pinfall. And then Garza, he catches Rey midair. And then he hits a reverse suplex off a springboard. And this time Rey kicks out at the near fall. Like a 2.9, 2.8, real close near fall. And then Rey, he turns things around. He sets up for the 619, but Garza gets out of the way, follows it with a super kick, huge super kick. So then later on, both men are brawling on top of the rope. Mysterio gets the best of him, and then he goes for the destroyer, but Garza catches him. And then Rey gets another reversal, and then he sets up the 619, follows it with a splash from the rope. It looked like he kind of fell. He normally launches himself, and he kind of just was standing on the rope and then just fell over. So I think he kind of botched that rope, but it's Rey Mysterio. I love him. He's legit, so I won't call him out on it anymore. Boom, and then 1, 2, 3. So the winner is Rey Mysterio. Like I said, it was a great match. I just don't know, with the winner, Rey Mysterio, what is he going to go after? Maybe they're going to do him and Andrade, and this will be the last time, and maybe, Mysterio actually wins it, and then he'll drop the belt to Angel. I don't know what their plan is, if he's going to go after Andrade now, but it was a good match. Like I said, I don't know where the winner goes here, but we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully it wasn't just a meaningless match, because I feel like most of these matches need to have a meaning, where, all rocket strapped going to WrestleMania, so you need to make everything make sense. So we'll see where they go. Hopefully, like I said, they do something with them. So then we get Kevin Owens. We see him backstage, and then from him where he arrived at the facility earlier today, and then he goes and he's walking with his bags. He gets greeted by Seth Rollins, and Seth is eating popcorn. The one thing I noticed is Seth wears one glove and then one hand without a glove, and he's holding the bag of popcorn with the the naked hand, and the hand that has the glove on is the one that he's picking eating the popcorn. I was just like, dude, can you just switch your hands? Who's gonna leather glove when you're eating popcorn? But anyway, KO, he uses the suitcase because Rollins and them, they start talking to him. They're like, oh hey, they're kind of just eyeing him up. Boom, Kevin Owens throws the suitcase at AOP, and then he starts beating down Murphy. AOP, and then Murphy obviously then get the upper hand, jumping him, and then they start slamming him into metal cages, metal equipment, all this stuff backstage, and then they throw a shelving unit on top of him. They just beat the hell out of him, and then until officials and security and stuff come down, and they're like, hey, let him go. So Kevin Owens just got his ass beat, and it was just dues for what he did to the Monday Night Messiah, but you knew that wasn't going to be the end of Kevin Owens. You knew he was going to get his revenge, and it was a good little thing to, help set up the main event. So then we get Charlotte Flair. She comes out, and she asks everybody if they saw, the package that they just aired for Rhea Ripley talking about WrestleMania. They showed the same one that they showed on NXT, where she's at Raymond James Stadium and, talking about her past and everything like that. And then she said it had her all fired up after watching that video promo. But she says that she's confused because Rhea said in order to be the best that she has to beat the best. And then she's like, but Rhea also said that she doesn't want to be anything like her. And, she's saying, so you're going to go off my family's motto, but you don't want to be anything like me. And then Flair says that Rhea is not her, and she will never be her because there is only one of her. And she tells Rhea to keep on being the next big thing and enjoy the hype because it's not going to last. And then Flair says that she's here to remind us why she's fighting for the NXT Championship, which the only reason is to teach Rhea a lesson. And she points out that the one thing that stands The one thing is to stand in an empty stadium and talk about your dreams, but it's another to be in front of 90,000 people and to be humbled by the Queen. And then Rhea says that she clearly heard enough, or I'm sorry, Rhea, she heard enough. She comes out and she tries to talk to Charlotte, but Charlotte says that they've already heard enough of her, and she points out that this isn't NXT, and she says that this is her kingdom, so Rhea is excused. And then when Flair tries to point at Rhea to leave the NXT champion, man, she just, bam, she drops Flair, and then, she smiles, smirks, walks away out of the ring. So it was a decent segment, to me it was unneeded because we saw the video package on NXT. I think they just did it, like I said, because they're all, all signs a go for WrestleMania. Like, let's get there. Let's just, hype this thing up as much as we can. But Rhea Ripley, to me, she wasn't needed on the show because there was already, you had Edge returning, you had all this other stuff. You do that on a show that's maybe a little bit weaker because Rhea Ripley, she's starting to get a little more popular. I don't know if they're just maybe trying to get her over. Like I said, maybe she's main roster bound, so they're trying to get her used to the main roster. But it was just like this segment. It was kind of like, It was like the next match that's about to follow. If you missed it, you didn't miss anything because it was the same video package that we saw on NXT. So like I said, another forgettable segment. We get Bobby Lashley versus my boy Zack Ryder. So straight away, Lashley, he runs right through Ryder, launches him in the corner, dives onto him, continues, beating him down. He goes for the attack in the corner, but Ryder's actually able to counter him, and he gets some double knees up and, starts, taking the advantage. But it doesn't last long because then he's slammed down onto the mat with a spine buster and then hit with the Dominator for the 1-2-3 winner, Bobby Lashley. We didn't see Lana. I think they mentioned she's in a movie with Bruce Willis, and I believe it's legit. He is like filming his own movie or doing something, so she's in there. Good for her, I guess. She has another career because clearly wrestling is not her strong suit. So, we'll see what they do with Bobby Lashley. I guess they're going to revisit the Rusev feud maybe at some point. Hopefully not. I don't know. I don't know what you do with Bobby Lashley. He's one of them guys who, unfortunately, the only thing he had was with Rusev, and you took that away. So this dude is now floating around in mid-card garbage land. There's nothing for him to do. You had a kind of a feud with him and Ricochet. Their matches were good. You buried and killed Ricochet, so that's not a feud anymore. You can't do anything with him because Rusev is gone. You took Liv Morgan out of that awful storyline, thank God, but she was the only piece that was continuing on the storyline. So, like I said, there's nothing really to do with Bobby Lashley besides, this kind of garbage, but we'll see what they do. So then we get, a good segment. Seth Rollins, he comes a knocking. So Alistair Black, he's shown, sitting in his room, and then we hear the knock on the door, and then, Alistair Black is like, oh, somebody's knocking on my door. Somebody's picking a fight. He gets up. It's Murphy and Rollins. And Seth says that Buddy Murphy has told him a lot about him. And Seth noticed that, he's been in a problem with the numbers game. And he's like, hey, maybe we can help each other out. And Seth said, I'm an expert in the numbers game, and I want you to be on my side. And Black, he turns him down. But he says that, and he's like, no, dude, I'm not joining you. And then Seth said, well, you're either with us or against us. And then Black said, those words sound like you're trying to pick a fight with him. And if that's what you want to do, he accepts. So then we get the match confirmed later on in the night, Seth Rollins versus Alistair Black. So I was happy about that. There's no way that, like I said, this match could be bad. We're getting it on Raw, so it won't be, the greatest thing, but still, first 2 times seeing these guys go at it, so very excited for that. So then we get Erick Rowan versus Drew McIntyre, and this match, almost, like Bobby Lashley and Zack Ryder, 2 minutes and done. Who do you think won? Erick Rowan. Just kidding. So then Drew McIntyre, he looks at Erick Rowan's cage, and he gets caught with a big boot. McIntyre sends Erick to the outside, and then Rowan drags him to the outside, but Drew has no problems. He starts beating him down on the outside and launches Rowan over his head onto the floor. Drew then grabs the cage and then the steel steps, and he smashes the steel steps onto the cage. He just what, screw you, Spider. I don't care. boom, 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 and just crushes this thing. So it's like, Erick Rowan's pet, February, whatever, 2020 to March 9th, 2020. Like, this thing was done. And it's like, who cares? The Spider's like, can I live? But it's like, no, because you're a bullshit storyline, so done. So, that I popped for. I love that. Rowan, he charges over. He gets caught with the Glasgow kiss. And then a Future Shock DDT in the ring. And then Drew nails the Claymore kick. And boom, done. Like I said, it was 2 minutes and done. The best part about this thing was how he crushed the steel cage. And, hey, maybe you could do Erick Rowan versus Bobby Lashley. A feud of the losers. I don't know what to say, but he's in the same thing. The only thing that was keeping him afloat was what was in the cage. A bullshit mechanical spider. Done. Rowan, same thing. Can I live? No. So then we get the Kabuki Warriors, eventually, versus Natalya and Liv Morgan. So before the match starts, they come out. They're cutting, their promo in Japanese like usual. They introduce themselves, start talking a little bit, and then the crowd's giving them the what chants. And then eventually Kairi, she starts speaking in English. She screams Elimination Chamber, and then she asks Asuka about her arm, and she pretty much, I assume she was saying how, like, your arm wasn't 100% in the chamber, and that was, like, the bullshit reason you lost to Shayna. And then she says, it's okay, like, my arm, it's okay now, and this and that. And then Asuka says, but right now she's still pissed off from what happened in the chamber. She's in the mood. She wants to beat somebody. And then they're like, who should we beat up? And they name drop Alexa Bliss, which made me nervous that they're gonna challenge her and Nikki Cross for a title match at WrestleMania, which wouldn't make any sense. And then they're gonna lose the belts to Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, which I'm sure Juan loves, but I do not. And then they drop her name, like I said, and then they call, her, like, the Mean Girls, like, mocking the movie. They call her dumb, but then Natalya eventually makes her way off and, cuts this promo, or brings this promo to an end. And then Liv Morgan also comes out, and then we get this tag team match underway. So Kairi Sane, Liv Morgan, they kick things off in the ring. Morgan, she gets the best of the early exchange, avoiding Sane's attacks as she follows it up with a drop kick and sends Sane into the ropes. Then Natty and Morgan hit a double suplex onto Sane, but she's able to kick out. And then at this point, Ruby Riott makes her way down to the ring. And, she wants to get a closer look at the match. And you knew as soon as she came out, I was like, okay, we got Asuka, Liv Morgan, and Natalya, Ruby Riott. You knew Sarah Logan was coming out. You knew all these women from the chamber was coming out. And there was going to be some screwy bullshit finish. And that's essentially what we got. So then later on, the Kabuki Warriors, they continue to isolate the arm of Natalya since her arm was injured. Since she was beat up the most, I would say, in the Royal Rumble match. Shayna Baszler really beat the hell out of her. So the Kabuki Warriors knew it, and they took advantage. So they keep making frequent tags, like I said, working over Natalya's arm. And then the match continues. Natalya is able to hit a power slam to Asuka, and then Sarah Logan makes her way down to the ring. Like I said, here we go. So then the Riot Squad members, they start brawling on the outside, and then Liv, instead of waiting for the tag from her opponent, hits a huge crossbody from the top turnbuckle, taking out both women. And then back in the ring, like I said, Natalya, she has nobody to tag, so she has to go it alone. She hits a discus clothesline on Sane, which gets a near fall. Asuka makes a blind tag, and Natalya sets the sharpshooter on Kairi. And then when Asuka enters the ring, she hits a huge kick to the head. 1, 2, 3. The winner is Asuka. Natalya, she thought Kairi was the legal woman. She had the sharpshooter on her. Boom. Like I said, kick and done. So it was a decent match in the sense that it was like, okay, they're getting TV time, and maybe it's setting up a WrestleMania match, which even though I don't like the WrestleMania match, and I definitely won't like the outcome, at least it's a match for WrestleMania. It's not just useless TV time. I could definitely see them doing a triple threat with the Riot Squad. Maybe they put that in the Women's Battle Royal and try to tell that story in there, but I would just get rid of the Women's Battle Royal and rather just see this triple threat match. But I don't know what it would be for, just for revenge, I guess. because it's not, at this point, it's not too exciting. These women really need to cut promos. They do a sit-down interview with all three of them. Maybe have Charlie Caruso or somebody conduct it. But, I would much rather have seen Beth Phoenix and Natalya go against the Kabuki Warriors, because that's at least 4 women that can go. But if they do end up doing Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross, like I said, it is what it is. But like this match, while it wasn't bad and it kind of had WrestleMania build, it really wasn't anything. Like if you missed it, again, you didn't really miss much. But this promo was coming up here was good. I don't know if the crowd was just out of it from that women's match before, but they did not react to this at all. But I'll take you through it, and then I'll go through my opinions more in depth. So that AJ Styles, he comes out, and he says that not once but twice the Undertaker has stuck his nose in his business where it doesn't belong. He says the Undertaker has taken 2 moments from him. First was stealing the beautiful, 2-weight trophy from him, and then he cost him, a match against Alistair Black. And then AJ says that 3 years ago, he saw the Undertaker get beat by Roman Reigns, and after that match, he left his gear in the middle of the ring, and AJ believes that the Undertaker, he's thought he was done. But he wasn't done. And he's like, if you ask me, I thought he should have been done when Brock broke his streak at WrestleMania. And then, he, again, trying to get some heel heat. He got a little bit of booze there. Nothing real crazy. Not as many boos as I thought he should have gave. Or should have received. And then AJ said he thinks that The Undertaker ruined it. And he asked that why the dead man, he asked why, and he said, like, why do you keep coming back? Like, that's what he mean by, like, you ruined it. He's like, why do you keep ruining your legacy? Why do you keep coming back? Is it the spotlight? Is it your ego? AJ says that it will cost him because, he wants him at WrestleMania. And then so AJ was like, it'll cost you for everything you did. I want you at WrestleMania. And the crowd was like, so... Like, nobody even reacted when he said that he wants the... I mean, yeah, it was predictable. You knew that this match was going to happen. But, when you're first hearing it, like, nobody pops. So, like, this promo just kind of fell flat. And then he said, like, yeah, maybe 15 years ago, I would have hesitated to call you out. But you're not the Undertaker. I don't see you as the Phenom anymore. You're not in your prime. You're just a broken down old man named Mark Calloway. And AJ says that he doesn't know what keeps him coming back, but he thinks that it's his wife, Michelle McCool. AJ says that Michelle plays him like a fiddle because whatever she wants, she gets. Despite the fact that Undertaker just comes to the ring and gets hurt, AJ, he's like, he wants to give the Undertaker some advice. And he said, and says that his wife will run him into the ground, and he is going to help her. Styles claims that he's going to make sure the Undertaker is going to die at WrestleMania and do exactly what his wife wants him to do. And then he says it's simple. He is challenging The Undertaker to a one-on-one match at WrestleMania. Again, barely any pop. And then Styles adds that the people don't give a damn about The Undertaker. Clearly, like I said, no pop. And The Undertaker should accept the challenge as he promises to put the final nail in his coffin. It's like I said, a good promo. I don't really know why you have to include Michelle McCool if you're going to do some angle with the wives. I don't, because they already had Wendy on TV, or not on TV, but, maybe she was on TV. I don't remember, but I know Samoa Joe was name dropping her, was going to go to AJ's house and stuff. So I don't know why I would have just attacked him for being old, broken down, retiring for 3-4 times already and still coming back. That's the kind of stuff I would have called him out for. For the wife angle, I don't get it. We'll see where it goes. But to me, the thing that bothered me the most was zero pop. The crowd was like, so, like, they didn't even care. So that was kind of bullshit. But like I said, I'm excited for it. I think when The Undertaker comes out and cuts a promo, the crowd will be all behind it. Maybe they were just, it was heel AJ. We're not going to cheer, this and that. But who knows? So then we get the 24/7 championship match, Riddick Moss versus Cedric Alexander. Again, another match. This is when you get up, you go get your plate of nachos. You go get some coffee to try to stay awake through the second, third hour of the boring show. But, let me just take you through this thing. Riddick Moss, he picks up the pace. He hits the ropes, catching Cedric. And then he tosses Cedric out of the ring with a fallaway slam. And then back in the ring, Alexander gets a little bit of offense. He plants Moss, but he's only able to get a near fall. And then Moss charges in the corner, takes down Cedric, following it up with his neck-breaker finisher for the win. Riddick Moss, Cedric Alexander, he squashed as well. He's squashed, he's done. Ricochet's also in the same boat. What do they have in common? Vince McMahon, you're a scumbag. So then, moving on. Do you care? I don't care. 24/7 championship. Nobody cares. At least the one thing I can say is they're presenting it in a legit way. This is a way that you do build a championship. But Riddick Moss isn't the guy for that. If you want to make this championship legit, it should be somebody like Ricochet, somebody like Cedric, and then you have it where, the matches are random. Some guy comes up to him and is like, you know what, I want a match, boom, tonight on Raw, and he has to accept. Not that he can get beat down anytime, but if somebody challenges him, they can challenge him anytime, anywhere. Not like it's just like ding, 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 the bell rings and you don't even know. I don't think it should have been that. It shouldn't have been a game of tag like they were doing. It should have been like, I can challenge you anytime, anywhere, and it don't matter who I am. It don't matter if I have 10 wins, 100 wins, 0 wins. You know what I mean? That's how it should have been. And if you booked it like that and you gave it to a guy like Cedric, guy like Ricochet, the belt would be over. At least more over than it is now. Even R-Truth, if you make R-Truth wrestle legit. But, they did what they did. They're trying to fix it now. But I feel like it's too little too late. And especially with a guy like Riddick Moss. So then we get the segment which I thought was going to be the main event. But, instead they had it towards the end of the show. And this really kind of, I think, picked things up, got the crowd excited. And that was the eventual return of Edge. But the segment actually starts with MVP. And he's in the ring, and he says at this point in his career, he's transitioning from in-ring competitor, to an absolute brainiac. He believes that it's time to take others to championship status and to build his stable. And to do that, he needs to start off with a solid man to build it around, a man like Edge. And he says that Edge sometimes has a problem with focus, but with his guidance, he has no doubt that he could guide Edge to being a champion again. MVP then continues to talk about Edge as we're shown. Edge, he comes up and he comes flying into, the stadium, whatever, the parking lot, garage. He comes flying in, gets out of the car. He's got that big eyes, those big angry Edge eyes. And he's ready to kick somebody's ass, namely Randy Orton. So then he makes his way to the ring almost immediately, and then he snatches the microphone from MVP. He calls out Randy Orton. MVP then asks Edge, he's like, hey, what's wrong with you, man? And he says that, he's like, your mental is off, like you're crazy. And he's like, you're focusing on the wrong things here. And then MVP says, speaking about the wrong things, how's your wife? So, it's like, what did he mean by that? Did he mean it was wrong what Randy Orton did? Did he say, speaking of wrong things, is he saying that, Edge made the wrong choice marrying Beth Phoenix? Edge doesn't care what the meaning was because he spears the hell out of him. But then as soon as he does, Randy Orton appears, so he jumps Edge. The two men start fighting. Edge drops him with an RKO of his own. Not very good looking, but you know what? I'll give Edge the pass. And then Edge gets a couple of chairs, but at this point, Orton rolls out of the ring. MVP then tries to attack Edge again, but then Edge locks in some kind of a rear naked choke, and then he starts, choking out MVP. And the whole time he just has them big angry eyes staring right into Orton, and then Edge then hits an RKO on MVP, who lands headfirst onto the chair. So then he's on a chair. I have a chair in my hand. Boom, concerto again. And this whole time he keeps staring a hole through Randy Orton. And then Orton, he goes off to the back. And then Edge eventually follows. And then backstage, Charlie Caruso tells Edge that Randy Orton has left the arena. So great segment, is cool to see Edge back. I'm glad him and Orton didn't have too much interaction, brawled a little bit, RKO, Randy Orton rolled out. Perfect. That's all you need. Let him beat up MVP. MVP, you're a goon. I don't even know why you were here. I like you. You're cool. But, to be in this segment was stupid. I wouldn't have agreed to this. It should have just been Randy Orton came out, I don't know. You could have did it different. But the only thing I do like is that he was there to die the martyr, so you wouldn't have Edge and Randy Orton really brawl too much, because you really got to keep them, Their feud now was like a blood-hate feud. Like, you got to have these guys not touch each other until WrestleMania. Because if you do, then the WrestleMania match will be like, so, like, no one will care. You got to have it where it's legit, and they, like, the first time, like, this bell needs to ring, and they need to just be punches and beating the hell out of each other. Not like, oh, like a test of strength and this kind of bullshit. No. Or a headlock. No. These guys need to go in there, guns a-blazing like a house on fire. And to do that, they need to not have too much physical interaction until WrestleMania. So then we get Seth Rollins versus Alistair Black, which will look to be the main event, but then you kind of saw how much time was left, and it's like, oh, okay, something's going to go down here. So the two men, they, grapple early on, trading different strikes, grappling moves eventually. Black sends Rollins out of the ring, but then bounces back off the ropes to hit his trademark, sit-down pose. And then we go to commercial, and back from commercial, Rollins he's in control. He's hitting a sling blade, and then he follows it up with some elbow strikes to Black's neck. Rollins goes for a knee strike but misses, and then Black begins to unload with some strikes of his own. Black hits a moonsault and then attacks Murphy, who at this point jumped up on the apron. And then Black hits a big boot and then a suplex onto Rollins. Murphy leaps into action to stop the pinfall, ending the match in a DQ. So at this point, when you saw it end in a DQ, it was like, okay, like what, like, can this guy win? Like, can he live? Like, can he literally do anything? He gets beat down by the OC and AJ Styles. He gets beat down, by Murphy in the DQ. And you knew at this point AOP was going to charge the ring, and it was going to be some kind of crazy 6-man, 8-man, 100-man, 50-man, a million-man tag match like the main events always are. And what did we get? Rollins and Murphy, they work together to beat down him, and AOP comes down to help. So then, of course, the Viking Raiders, they come down. Numbers are still too much until, boom, we want smoke. Street Profits head down, and they even things out. So then we get the Viking Raiders, the Street Profits versus Seth Rollins, Murphy, and AOP. So to start this thing, the Viking Raiders, they dominate Razor, but eventually tags are made. Rollins, he connects with a forearm to Ivar. However, he misses a splash as Ivar runs over Murphy and gets power slammed on top of Murphy. Tags are made, and Montez Ford ends up on the wrong side. He comes in thinking he's going to help. No, you get launched to the opposite end of the ring by Razor. And then AOP, they work together. They dominate, isolate him. Murphy gets involved. He continues to work on Montez. And he eventually gets tagged into Erick. So then he launches Murphy across the ring, sends Razor flying with a big knee to the jaw. Erick isn't done, and then he goes for a suicide dive, but he's caught. And then the two men stare down until Murphy leaps off the apron with a double knee strike. Later on in this thing, Ford tries to battle his way out to his partners, but Murphy hits a belly-to-back suplex to stop him. Murphy then begins showboating, and, and he's, at this point, he's showboating. He's like, there's no way, blah, blah, blah. Ford's like, screw you, dude. He hits a super kick. He fights back out of this thing, and then he tags in Ivar. And then Ivar hits the ring. He starts cleaning everybody's clock. He starts knocking them out. Ford comes in, back into the match. He hits a huge frog splash onto Rollins, but Rollins kicks out. And then the Viking Raiders, they charge, and they hit suicide dives onto everybody. So then Rollins is on his own in the ring. Seth takes out Dawkins with a knee strike, but he gets sent out of the ring as well. And then Ford wipes everybody out. I believe he does he flips over the top rope, so he takes everybody out. And then when he climbs back into the ring, Rollins hits him with a stomp. So then the winner is Seth Rollins, Murphy, and AOP. Decent match, like I said. We've seen it before, so that's why I don't get too excited over it. All, 8 of these guys are extremely, extremely talented. There's no way I'm going to say any of them are bad. Rollins, Murphy, AOP, Erick, Ivar, Ford, Dawkins. There's no way you can say any of these guys are bad. But when we've seen these matches every single week, they start to get boring. So that's was my really only complaint with this. It would have been cool to see Alistair Black and Seth Rollins go this entire time, have a legit match, and have Black win. Maybe afterwards he gets his ass beat down by all 4 men, but at least have him win the match. So after this thing, Kevin Owens appears. He hits Akam with a stunner. He sends Razor over the top rope. He connects with another stunner to Murphy, but Rollins gets back in and he hits a stomp, to Owens, and then Owens lays there, sells the stomp as the show goes off the air. So this wasn't a bad Raw in my opinion. Like I said, there was a lot of things that they did good. Becky Lynch, going back to the original version of the man, her short, sweet, to the point, serious promo against Shayna Baszler was legit. Drew McIntyre, seeing him look strong was legit. But Erick Rowan looks more like a loser, and then it helps Drew look strong because we already knew Drew looked strong. So, AJ Styles promo, while it got zero reaction, to me was good. Everything with Edge and Randy Orton was good. MVP was a little head scratching, but at least it made sense to keep them two away from really, touching each other too much. We want to save all that altercation for WrestleMania. So like I said, there was some good stuff going on in here. The Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley, we already seen that video package, and to me that was the better thing. It was cool to see Charlotte Flair always get punched, but, to me the best thing about it was the video package, and it's one we've already seen. So like I said, Raw, it wasn't a bad show, but it wasn't a great show either. If you missed it, you didn't miss much. You know where to come to see everything that happened right here on Rope Break. But it wasn't like a must-see Raw. Like I would say last week was probably a little better, if my memory serves me correctly. But, because, hey, when you watch so much, man, it all gets fuzzy after a while. But this Raw, like I said, wasn't bad. But, I like to see a little more going into WrestleMania. So we'll see where they go. Hopefully we get some more stories built. Like I said, is there going to be a triple threat with the Riot Squad? What are you doing with Rey Mysterio and Angel Garza while they had a legit match? What are you doing with the guys? Because if it's a match just for the sake of having a match, how about you just cut that out and you make Raw 2 hours? I'm going to say it every week. But, that was the review, guys. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you all the new subscribers, old subscribers. And, we're going to have some more videos coming. Probably some more soccer videos today. Juan, man, he has those soccer videos coming out like hotcakes, man. And you guys love them, so I'm happy you do. Please keep checking them out. Support us in everything we do. We love all the support you guys give. And like I said, if you haven't already, check out Broken Skull Sessions with The Big Show. Check out the Elimination Chamber review. We have a video on Facebook Live. We were there before the pre-show started, or during kind of the pre-show where, it's just the panels talking down there. It really isn't anything going on in the ring. We had a little Facebook Live video, so if you follow us on Facebook, check that out. Follow us on all other social media, of course, besides YouTube and Facebook. We have Instagram, Twitter, all laid out here on the layout. So, guys, as always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time with AEW Dynamite Review.